A very wise person said to me years and years ago, gave me two bits of advice. The first one was you don't know anything until you've personally looked. And the second thing was that you should be more worried of a fool than a villain. At least a villain can be predicted. A fool cannot. And I think part of the problem of our asylum policy, or our lack of asylum policy, and the way we're housing migrants or asylum seekers at the moment, is that the entire show is controlled by a fool and a series of fools. And they think that by smoke and mirrors, by some sort of stage management, by some sort of prestidigitation, we're going to be deceived. We're not. We can see the hand tricks going on, and it's more obvious than Liz Truss. Point is, we've got 50,000 asylum seekers, apparently, in 400 hotels at £6 million a day. But Migrant Voice today has announced that there's been investigations into these hotels, into the type of accommodation offered, and it simply doesn't come up to the, quote, luxury hotel standard that Robert Jenrick has been going on and on about, and that many people from the ERG wing of the Conservative Party and others have been spouting on about. It's propaganda. It's not true. There may be a few five-star hotels. In fact, I think there's probably none. These are hotels which are packing in 10 to a room, strangers, Afghans, Iraqis, people from Iran, staying in a hotel for more than a year, sometimes 3 years, staying in squalor. And they're crammed into these rooms, as I say, with strangers in a way that simply wouldn't be tolerated in prisons. Now, there was an investigation done about 3 years ago, which talked. There was a series of interesting articles in the Independent, in the Guardian, talked about the condition of the hotels in 2021 and the dangers of putting people with pronounced PTSD into these situations for a prolonged period. Of course, that's exactly what the Home Office has done. And now we learn, not only are the conditions awful, not only are they squalid, not only are people being forced to share loose access, 25 people for a single loo. It's worse than the London slums in the 19th century. But the food provisions, the quotations, almost inedible, rancid, inappropriate, producing diabetes and so on. The verbal abuse, which is not only being doled out outside the hotels by people fed on this propaganda that these people have come here precisely so they can have hotel accommodation. Who would want this accommodation? But also doled out by the hotel staff themselves, who are on a sort of permanent pay by the Home Office. These people, these victims responding to arbitrary rules imposed by these self-same abusive hotel staff, with no access to a complaints procedure, no solution to what's going on, a route that offers no solution. It's a purgatory without any reassurance that there will be some end, some positive end that is worth all the misery. And many of these people have very good cases. Many of these people, indeed, 9,000 last year, coming from Afghanistan, coming here looking for the help that we should have been giving them when Kabul fell. But instead, we were giving help to Dominic Raab to further his career and slap on some more factor 10. It's disgusting, really. People are being betrayed. People are being taken for a ride. and and you've got all the usual stuff which goes on, which I remember seeing when I was living in Greece. The migrants have their belongings confiscated. They never get them returned. I remember that when I was on reality TV. All these lies by people who just have control, and they love exercising control. We need to let asylum seekers have dignity. We need to let them work. There's nothing, it's simply our own United Kingdom standards which say that asylum seekers cannot work. They can work, they should work, simply for their dignity and to take the pressure off this propaganda. If asylum seekers were working, we would no longer have this stuff about £6 million a day being spent. Then I suppose the Home Office would have to start complaining about the number of people in prison. It's a prolonged, agonizing wait in demeaning conditions, and nothing justifies it. Nothing.